Fires raging on one side and freezing cold and storms on the other are creating a frightening and unpredictable landscape this year. The extremes of nature are clashing, leaving people concerned about what's to come. All signs point to this winter being one of the harshest we've seen in a long time. The combination of natural disasters and severe weather highlights the need to be prepared for anything. As temperatures drop and storms intensify, it's essential to take the necessary precautions to stay safe. Stock up on essentials, ensure your home is ready for extreme weather, and have a plan in place in case conditions worsen. We're having a very cold January, in fact, the coldest since 1988. It even beats out 1994. Much of the lower 48 is experiencing temperatures about 5 to 7 degrees below average for the month of January, which has resulted in some significant snowfall. These are the snowfall totals for January so far, and everywhere you see pink indicates double-digit totals. And we've seen fairly decent, if not significant, snowfalls across much of the lower 48. Naturally, after such a cold period, we're expecting a bit of a rebound. Over the next 5 days, I anticipate winds will shift and start coming from the south. This shift will bring a noticeable surge in temperatures, especially with the south and southwest winds. Warmer air will spread not only across the deep south and much of the southeast, but also across much of the central United States. However, parts of the north, mid-Atlantic, northeast, and New England will continue to experience colder air, particularly on Wednesday and Thursday. The main weather system we're tracking is an area of low pressure currently located in California. This system will move across the desert southwest, linking up with another system in the central U.S., and will produce a significant rainstorm, possibly including severe storms in Texas, particularly from Wednesday into Thursday. Looking ahead, here's the expected setup. Areas marked in green represent colder anomalies with much colder air masses. These regions could see snow showers or even snow squalls, as well as potential lake effect snow in some areas, especially Wednesday and Thursday. Meanwhile, Southern California recently experienced heavier rains, which led to flood warnings and mudslides in areas affected by wildfires. This low pressure system, called a cutoff low, is taking its time moving across the desert southwest. While it's slow moving, it will bring beneficial rain to Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico by Wednesday. Wednesday will be a critical day as a new surface low forms in Mexico, providing the necessary lift for strong to severe thunderstorms in central Texas, including areas like Abilene and San Angelo. Snow will also begin forming in New Mexico, and heavier rain will develop across Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas by Wednesday night. This could result in significant rainfall and localized flooding in Arkansas and Louisiana. Wednesday and Thursday will be very active, especially overnight Wednesday. By Thursday morning, we expect a line of thunderstorms, some severe, to develop near Austin and San Antonio. These storms may bring large hail and damaging winds along with significant rainfall. While the system isn't as cold as initially anticipated, its rain-producing potential remains substantial. By Thursday, heavy rain will spread into Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Meanwhile, the cross-polar flow will continue to affect the Northeast. As we approach the end of January and the start of February, the jet stream will flatten out and south winds will dominate, setting up a battle between colder and warmer air masses. We're entering a battle zone of sorts with a sharp demarcation between warmer air across the south and colder anomalies in other areas. The cold will return to the far corners of the Pacific Northwest, starting to flow down from Alaska through British Columbia as we move into the first few days of February. Looking at the surface map, we can see the upcoming developments more clearly. While a clipper system will impact the Northeast over the coming days, especially Wednesday and Thursday. Meanwhile, a low pressure system that recently brought beneficial rains to Southern California will move southward. For the next 5 days, the Pacific Northwest, particularly Washington, Oregon, and parts of Idaho, won't see much precipitation. However, that will change significantly as February begins. Further south, the action centers on Arizona, where a slow-moving system will linger in the desert regions. By Wednesday, enough lift ahead of the system will develop a surface low in Mexico, setting the stage for heavier rain and thunderstorms. Wednesday night could bring training thunderstorms and flooding concerns across areas like Dallas-Fort Worth, Austin, Northeast Texas, and the Panhandle into Oklahoma. Snow will begin to fall across the Four Corners region, including New Mexico and Colorado. Some severe storms may form, though this won't be a widespread severe weather event. And however, a few storms could bring large hail up to quarter size and damaging winds, especially with squall lines and frequent lightning. This will likely be a nocturnal event, with storms intensifying overnight Wednesday into early Thursday morning. Areas in Texas, including Austin and San Antonio, could see isolated intense storms with large hail and damaging winds, while areas further northeast will experience significant rain. By Thursday, heavy rain will spread into Arkansas, Missouri, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Snow may also develop in higher elevations. Some areas that recently received 4 to 6 inches of snow could now see up to 4 inches of rain, leading to potential flooding. The system will lose much of its colder characteristics, but will maintain its ability to produce heavy rain as it moves into Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Kentucky, eventually impacting the Carolinas and the Northeast by Friday night. In the Pacific Northwest, a break in precipitation will end as February begins. Daily rain showers will return with intensity, affecting Washington and Oregon, with snow in higher elevations. Colder air will build in the region, setting the stage for significant changes in early February. For the next 5 days through Saturday morning, precipitation will mainly affect higher elevations in the form of snow, while beneficial rain showers will fall further south in areas like Phoenix and Tucson, extending into New Mexico. Heavier rains, especially in northeastern Texas, southeastern Oklahoma, and Arkansas, could total 4 to 6 inches. Areas in red on the precipitation map are expected to see 2 to 3 inches of rain, with lighter amounts further north. By Saturday, most of the lower 48 will experience above average temperatures as warm air surges from south to north. However, colder air will build across the Pacific Northwest, with temperature anomalies 20 to 30 degrees below average. After Groundhog Day, this cold air will push into the lower 48, creating a significant battle zone as it collides with warmer air to the south. As we approach February 4th to 5th, colder air will spread further south, impacting the southeast, Ohio Valley, and other regions. This shift will likely bring heavier snow to northern areas and could pull the snow line southward into Kansas, Nebraska, and Iowa by February 7th. As cold air continues to push south, the chance for significant snow will expand. And the good news this week is that if you're traveling, we won't be dealing with much in the way of winter weather snowstorms across the south or the east. Conditions are quickly reversing from what we've experienced over the past several weeks. The brutal cold is retreating into parts of the Northeast, especially Canada and the Intermountain West, while those of us in the South will start to feel more like early spring in the coming days. With early spring weather, however, comes the threat of more rain and possibly severe weather. We're tracking a significant storm system moving from California and the Southwest today across the South and eventually into the eastern parts of the country by mid to late week. This video will explore those threats, outlining who can expect what, how much, and when it will impact you. Currently, temperatures aren't too bad, considering how cold January has been. The exception, of course, is in central Canada and the Intermountain West. Across the South, temperatures have warmed into the 40s and 50s, and Orlando is even back in the 70s. Where was that warmth last week when I was there? It rained for 3 days, and it was 41 degrees. Miserable. It reminded me of what it typically feels like in North Carolina this time of year. Thankfully, New Orleans is back in the 60s, and much of the snow is melting. Over the last 24 hours, temperatures have warmed significantly, especially across the central United States, Quebec, and eastern portions of Canada. This marks the end of the brutal cold and a return to more typical late winter temperatures, closer to what we expect in February and early March. The good news is that the weather map is relatively quiet. The bad news is that there are still some significant weather events to track. For those in the lake effect snow areas of upstate New York and northwestern Pennsylvania, winter storm warnings are in effect for regions near Lake Ontario, along with high wind advisories around Lake Erie, Lake Huron, and Lake Superior. In California, the rain was much needed, but some areas received too much, leading to heavy mountain snow and mudslides. While the fires have been reduced quickly, the shift toward more consistent rain and less dry, windy weather over the coming weeks is a step in the right direction. It's not perfect yet, but we are seeing improvements. In the ski areas of Southern California, more moisture is on the way and snow is expected to continue. Winter storm warnings remain in effect for higher elevations between Los Angeles and the Inland Empire, as well as in parts of the upper desert. Winter weather advisories are also active for some mid-level elevations in Southern California and portions of northwestern Arizona near the Rim Country. Our upper level map shows the storm system continuing to spin over Southern California. Over the next few days, it will move eastward. Cold air from central Canada will flow into the central United States, bringing chillier conditions from northwest to southeast. Unlike last week, however, when a significant storm affected the south, this time the cold air won't align with the storm system. As a result, the cold will come and go while the warmer, wetter conditions dominate. Instead of a large winter storm, we're expecting mostly rain. In the upper atmosphere, a strong low pressure system in the southwest is visible, while fast-moving polar air is affecting the northeast. These two systems won't merge, so the cold air will stay concentrated in the northeast through midweek. Meanwhile, the storm system in the southwest will slowly move eastward by Thursday and Friday, bringing increased southerly and southwesterly winds. With moisture from the Gulf of Mexico and the Pacific, these storms could produce wind damage due to wind speeds reaching 140 to 150 miles per hour. Flights from Dallas to St. Louis might get there faster, but passengers can expect a bumpy ride on Thursday night. By Thursday and Friday, the storm system will develop into a trough, transitioning into a zonal flow from west to east. This pattern prevents extremely cold air from plunging deep into the United States. High pressure will build, leading to milder conditions for early February. After enduring 4 to 5 weeks of bitter cold, we're finally entering a more moderate weather pattern for the final month of meteorological winter. Here's a look at the European weather model. Sorry about that, hit the wrong button. It shows cold air moving into eastern Canada with part of the polar vortex over Quebec. This will bring snow and potentially hazardous travel conditions, including squalls and low visibility in parts of the interior, northeast, and areas east of the Great Lakes. Additionally, a clipper system will bring snow from central Canada into the upper Great Lakes region tomorrow. Temperature trends are shifting, and while some areas will still experience typical winter weather, the broader pattern is turning milder as we approach February. Temperature trends and regional variations, things are relatively quiet right now. We have our storm in the southwest, but activity starts picking up in the south central states, particularly Texas and Oklahoma, late Wednesday night into Thursday. This is when the threat of heavier rain and possibly severe weather returns. Late Wednesday into Thursday, the storm system will track east, while there will still be some cold air in the northeast. Most of the storm's moisture will fall as rain rather than snow, unlike the storm we saw about a week ago. As the system moves eastward, milder air will spread into the mid-Atlantic and Ohio Valley, followed by a brief period of colder weather. Yes, there will be some snow and sleet on the backside of the system, but it will dry out and turn colder before warming back up again next week. This marks a significant difference from what we've experienced over the past few weeks. Looking at temperature trends, much of the intense cold is confined to the Northeast and upper Midwest. Just a week ago, temperatures in the Dakotas were 30 to 40 degrees below zero. Now, temperatures are climbing above freezing, a warming trend of over 60 degrees in some areas. Calgary, Alberta is now in the 40s, and Billings, Montana has also warmed to the 40s. However, it remains cold in the mountains with 20s and 30s at lower elevations and some areas dropping below zero again tonight, particularly in Wyoming. While this is good for ski resorts, it's certainly chilly. Thanks to Pacific airflow, temperatures in the southern U.S. are not dropping significantly. In fact, they're expected to moderate by Wednesday and continue warming through Thursday and Friday. Even behind the next storm system, it won't get too cold, except in northern New England, where temperatures will dip below zero. For much of the country, temperatures will hover around or above average as we transition from January into February. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and stay tuned for my next update.